Breaking news, Russia has now begun invading Ukraine. A series of explosions have been heard in the eastern section of the country. President Vladimir Putin is warning other countries to stay out of the conflict or face consequences. Just moments ago, the Russian Defense Ministry confirmed it is targeting sites in Ukraine with missiles,
claiming it is taking out the country's military bases, airfields, and air defense facilities. Explosions have been heard in the Ukrainian cities of Odessa, Kharkiv, and the capital, Kyiv. Ukraine's Minister of Foreign Affairs just tweeted, quote, "This is a war of aggression. Ukraine will defend itself and will win. The world can and must stop Putin."
This is a live look right now at the city of Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine. Police and security officers have also been sent into areas of eastern Ukraine that may be targeted.
KCAL 9's Tom Wade has been following the initial attacks tonight. He's here with the very latest now.
Yeah, fast-moving and horrific developments, as you both were just reporting. The situation has really intensified over the last couple of hours. Correspondents with CBS News and CNN are stationed in Kyiv tonight. Here's what they saw and heard when they went live on air just about an hour ago.
Well, it's just a few moments ago we heard 5 loud explosions.
3 to begin with.
That sounded like a fighter jet overhead.
There are big explosions taking place in Kiev right now. I can't see where they're taking place from this vantage point here on top of the roof of the hotel in central Kiev. And I can't explain what they are.
The explosions began shortly after Russian President Vladimir Putin announced in a televised address, as we just showed you, that he ordered a military operation in eastern Ukraine. He said there's no goal to occupy Russia's neighbor, but he warned if other countries attempt to interfere, there will be consequences that they have never seen. President Biden just released a statement saying, in part, the prayers of the entire world are with the people of Ukraine tonight as they suffer an unprovoked and unjustified attack by Russian military forces. Russia alone is responsible for the death and destruction that this attack will bring, and the United States and its allies and partners will respond a united and decisive way. The world will hold Russia accountable. Ukraine has a consul general in California. We spoke with him and with a local Russian Orthodox religious leader who says people from Russia and Ukraine attend his church. None of them wants war.
Everybody stands ready to fight if it will be needed.
That was the Ukrainian Consul General in San Francisco a little earlier today. He told us Ukrainians here and in his home country are looking to the world for support.
And we just want to know the whole world to support us, to support Ukrainians, and to, as we say right now, stand with Ukraine.
The Russian community is also reacting tonight. Nazary Politaiko is the rector of the Holy Virgin Mary Russian Orthodox Cathedral in Silver Lake. He says it's the oldest Russian Orthodox community in Southern California.
My community, I have Russians, I have Ukrainians, I have Belarusians, I have Romanians, and all of us live together in peace, and we pray for the peace of the whole world.
The latest military actions Wednesday night are what Western leaders have been predicting. The question now is, will Putin push even deeper into Ukraine? Professor of politics at Claremont McKenna College, Jack Pitney.
He's been indicating for quite some time that this is the way he wanted to go. Whether that ultimately works to his benefit is very much in doubt. There could be grievous costs to Russia economically in terms of blood, treasure, and ultimately that could undercut Putin's own political standing at home.
President Biden is expected to speak with the leaders of the G7 tomorrow. That's the world's 7 largest democracies, and he is expected to address the nation after that. We'll, of course, keep you posted. I'm Tom Wade. Pat, back to you.